And back at the original epicenter of the novel coronavirus outbreak, Wuhan, China, and its more than 11 million residents navigating this post-lockdown uncertainty. Among them, American Christopher Suzanne.
Yeah, let's switch out mask. I know that's your preference here.
My mask and,
I'll do this.
He suggested we upgrade our protective equipment before going for a stroll. It's a city he knows well.
So this place is, I was married here, I had a baby here, I've been here for the past 10 years.
This is home.
Yeah, this is home.
Christopher's home is slowly emerging from a brutal 76-day lockdown. He returned to Wuhan in the midst of it.
I'm real happy to see people at least keeping their distance, getting around, going about their day.
But just 2 weeks after the reopening, and some here are closing the gap on social distancing. Many stores and restaurants keeping people from coming inside, but that's not stopping crowds like this one from standing shoulder to shoulder waiting outside for their orders. In places like our hotel, there are noticeably stricter measures. Staff spraying us down each time we walk in and checking our temperatures. Inside, even the elevators telling you where to stand and offering you a tissue to touch the buttons. But will it last?
We are afraid that there is going to be the second wave. I think everybody here knows.
You think it's coming?
Absolutely.
Yet there is growing skepticism over where the first wave actually originated.
So this is where Chinese health officials believe the source of the novel coronavirus is. This is the Wuhan seafood market. Of course, they believe other things may have been sold here, hence the transmission from animals to humans of this virus. But you can see it's all closed off still. This has now been since January 1 that they shut it down. However, I want to take you now to the lab where U.S. intelligence is looking into the possible origins of this virus having come from there.
We drove to the lab inside China's Center for Disease Control, just down the street from the market.
This is one of the labs within Wuhan, not too far from the market either.
It's an origin theory Chinese officials quickly dismiss. They also push back at claims that their reported number of cases and deaths is far less than reality, even as numbers have repeatedly been revised upward to account for previous undercounts. Just last week, another 50% was added to the Wuhan death toll alone.
Whether or not they want to share that information with the public doesn't really concern me. I'm really more concerned about my family and what we can do.
And others, like this convenience shop owner, more worried about resurrecting their businesses. I'm a bit worried. I don't know when we will resume completely. As China claims to get the virus under better control in places like Wuhan, there's now greater concern of those coming in from elsewhere. From our arrival into the city to this interview out in the street, we were questioned repeatedly.
I'm from U.S., but I live in Beijing.
A group of plainclothed and uniformed police growing increasingly uneasy with our being there, a reflection of both their fear of imported cases and a mounting distrust of foreign media.
Yeah, well, we'll walk in the car. Yeah. We'll go.
All right, and David joins me now live from Wuhan. David, that was an incredible piece, just exactly what people want to see. I mean, I want to ask you because today we just heard in the U.S., as you know, from the former director of the office involved in developing a vaccine, Dr. Bright. And he said, he's been sidelined. He says it's because he questioned the use of potentially dangerous drugs that President Trump has pushed. You have been reporting on a similar situation with a whistleblower in Wuhan. Tell us about that.
That's right, Aaron. And Sanjay made mention of this just a few minutes ago with regards to how China was handling things regarding whistleblowers early on. One of the most famous of them, who's become almost a national hero of sorts here, is Dr. Li Wenliang. And we actually spoke with him a week before he died. This is a guy, Aaron, who had no interest in becoming a hero. He simply wanted to alert his friends of something that was going around here that seemed like SARS. He was an ophthalmologist, worked in a Wuhan hospital. His message was shared with police. It got him reprimanded. They told him to stop spreading rumors. They silenced him quickly. He wasn't the only one. Several other medical personnel and just regular citizens were likewise silenced. And that played into the government having to respond in some manner because we saw an outrage here on social media, on Chinese social media, which is heavily censored at times. In fact, they had to work overload in the censorship to try to suppress some of the anger that was coming out of his passing away. And what ended up happening is the Chinese have now changed his image here to be a national hero, saying that While he was ignored by the local government, they say the central government recognizes his heroics. However, a lot of folks here still believe that had his early warnings been listened to, things would have been very different, Aaron.